Section 2.3 Interactive Assignment, Objective 3. The data in the table represent the tuition for all two-year community colleges in a region in 2009 and 2010. In Part A, we want to be able to construct a cumulative frequency distribution. So the first column that's given is the tuition. These are in classes. And we have the number of colleges, which is the frequency. And what we're going to do is we're going to complete a cumulative frequency distribution. So I pulled the data over here. So here is our column, and then here's the number of city colleges. Now what we want to do is we want to be able to find the cumulative frequency. Let's go ahead and do that. Now the first one, the cumulative frequency, is going to be the number 22. So we know that we have 22 in the cumulative frequency. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take this 22 and then we're going to add this 68. Okay, when we add the 68, then we're going to get 90. Okay, now we're going to take this value of 90 and then we're going to add the 12. So 90 plus 12 is then going to give us the following, 102. Okay, now we're going to take this 102 and then we're going to add the 4. So 102 plus 4 is going to give us 106. Okay, and then we're going to take this 106 and then we're going to add the 0 to give us 106. Next, we're going to take our 106 and add the 0 here to get 106. Again, we're going to take our 106 that we found there, add the 0, and that's going to give us 106. And then the last thing we want to do is we're going to take our 106, we're going to add the 1 to give us a total of 107. So therefore, here is the cumulative frequency. Okay, now we need to find the cumulative relative frequency. Okay, now let's go ahead and check in our answers that we have the correct one here. So if we take a look here, we have 22, we have 90, we have 102, 106, 106, 106, 106, 106, and then 107. And let's match what we have, 22, 90, 102, 106, 106, 106, 106, and then 107. Okay, now what we need to do is the next question. They want us to find the cumulative relative frequency. So we got to find the cumulative relative frequency distribution. So the first thing we need to do is we need to create a relative frequency column. In order to find that relative frequency, we need to take the value of the frequency and then divide it by the sum or the total of the cumulative frequency, which is 107. Okay, so 22 divided by 107 rounded to 3 decimal places gives us 0.206. Okay, next we're going to take the value of 68, which is the next frequency. We're going to divide that by 107, which is a total, to give us 0.635. Okay, next we're going to take the value of 12 divided by the total of 107 to get 0.112. Next we're going to take the value of 4 divided by 107 to get 0.038. Okay, next we're going to take the frequency of 0 divided by the total frequency of 107 to get 0.000. Same thing here, we're going to take 0 divided by the total frequency divided by the total frequency to get 0.000. And again, we're going to take the next frequency, which is 0, divided by the total frequency to give us 0.000. And then last, we're going to take our frequency of 1 divided by the total frequency to give us 0.009. Okay, now that we found the relative frequency, now we want to find the cumulative relative frequency. So, in order to find the cumulative relative frequency, we're first going to add that 0.206, that is the first one that we end up getting. So, what we have is the following. We have 0.206. Okay, now we're going to take that 0.206, and then what we're going to do is we're going to add this 0.635 to get 0.841. Okay, now we're going to take the 0.841, and then we're going to add the relative frequency of 0.112 to give us 0.953. Next, we're going to take 0.953, and then we're going to add the relative frequency of 0.038 to give us 0.991. We're going to take that 0.991 and then add the relative frequency of 0.000 to give us 0.991. Again, we're going to take that 0.991, add the relative frequency of 0.000 to give us the result of 0.991. And again, we're going to take that 0.991, and then we're going to add the relative frequency of 0.000 to give us 0.991. And now we're going to take the 0.991 and we're going to add the relative frequency of 0.09 to give us a total of 1.0. Okay, so let's make sure that our answer matches. So to find the cumulative frequency, we have 0.206, 0.841, 0.953, 0.991, 0.991, 0.991, 0.991, and then 1.000. Okay, now let's see if we wanted to actually do this on StatCrunch. And it might be a little bit more in depth here because in the example itself, you're given the classes. So when you're given the classes a number of frequencies, you might have to go a little bit beyond of what was explained in using StatCrunch in this text. So we're going to go ahead and open up our data into StatCrunch. And what we're going to have to do is we want to be able to find the cumulative frequency. So in order to do that, we're going to highlight this here, and then we're going to go to data, and then we're going to select compute, and then we're going to order an expression. So what is the expression? We're going to build the expression. So we're going to go ahead to build, and then we're going to come down here, and then we're going to look for cumulative. So you see where it says cumulative sum here? We're going to go ahead and then select that. So we're going to add that function. Okay, and then what column do we want to choose? Well, we want to choose the number of community colleges. So we want to make sure that that's been added here. Okay, so let's go ahead and then select OK. Okay, and then select compute. And then if you notice, okay, what it's done is it's generated the cumulative frequency that we got here, 22, 90, 102, 106, 106, 106, 106, and 107. Okay, so we get our cumulative frequency. So now how are we going to get the cumulative relative frequency? So we got to go a little bit further beyond on this, okay, because we need to take each individual value that we get, right, of our frequency and then divide it by the total of 107. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back in here, we're going to select stat, and then, data, and then we're going to go back to compute and then build an expression. Okay, so what are we going to do? Well, we're going to take this community colleges expression, right? And then what we're going to do with that is we want to divide it by the total sum in the relative frequency. So we're going to hit divide, and then the total number that we got was 107. Okay, and then we're going to select OK. So now we're going to compute, and then we're going to look at those numbers. So if you look here, the only thing that we need to do, though, that's given here is that we need to round these to 3 decimal places. So that's 0.206, 8.41, 0.953, and so on. when we get down to that value. So you'd have to round that. So it might be a little bit, still going to be doing some work as opposed to what we just did with that particular example.